Doctors of Reddit, what is the most bizarre issue you've seen a patient trying to hide or mask? A patient came in with chest pain. Said they'd fallen and hit their chest on a table. X-ray was performed to evaluate for a rib fracture or collapsed lung. The X-ray instead showed a long metallic foreign body in the left chest, within the heart. When questioned further, the patient admitted to lying, and that they'd actually shot themselves in the chest with a nail gun. The wound was not bleeding nor really noticeable. They were taken to the operating room and did quite well after open heart surgery. Sent a male patient into the bathroom to collect a urine sample. Took him much longer than expected. He misunderstood and gave a semen sample. Not sure if this counts as hiding, but a patient we recently had tried to play off a rampant staph infection as just some leg swelling. Turns out what he meant by that was he had a horrible infection in and around his genitals, something known as Fournier's gangrene. Do yourself a favor and don't Google that. The swelling had gotten so bad that his penis had literally inverted. He later told us that he had to pee with a 5-gallon bucket held up to his crotch because he no longer had any idea where the pee was going to go. Edit. Since so many people are asking what happened, he went to emergent surgery within hours, which is likely to be the first of many. Only way to get rid of an infection like that is debridement in the OR plus a crap ton of antibiotics. Somehow this guy had no systemic signs of infection, fever, low blood pressure, etc., so thankfully he should pull through. Last I heard he was likely to lose one of his testicles, but I don't believe they were going to have to remove his whole penis. I know it's fun to talk about how gross this stuff is, but it's a very serious type of infection. This guy's life was definitely in danger had he waited any longer. My aunt is a family doctor, so patients come to her with symptoms and she directs them towards a specialist based on her diagnosis. One day an elderly husband and wife came into her office, and when asked why they had come in, the wife responded, "His foot has been smelling for a while and I finally convinced him to come have it looked at." My aunt, not hard of smelling, concurred that his foot stunk. She asked him to remove his shoe and sock. When he removed his sock, the bone from his big toe fell out of his toe and onto the ground. Turned out he had a very bad case of gangrene that had eaten away the flesh of his toe. He knew something was wrong but was stubborn and didn't get it checked sooner. And my big toe hurts now after typing this. I once saw a high school-aged kid come in with a dinner candle stuck in his rectum. He reportedly was using it to reach an itch. Apparently the itch was in his spleen because that thing was deep. Mom told me the story, and how she had previously asked him to not itch himself with other things of hers. I didn't ask for any more details. I honestly think she believed that he was just really itchy. BTW, ITT prediction, rectal foreign body stories. Lots of them. My mother, the medical professional of our family, had a 13-year-old girl who was 9 months pregnant, in the midst of labor, dilated to 10 centimeters and crowning in the emergency triage, swearing until she was black and blue that she was a virgin and that nobody knew what they were talking about. Her mother stood on the sidelines causing a commotion, demanding a real doctor make an appearance. Let's just say when the twins made an appearance 10 minutes later they were all singing a different tune. A case of teenage pregnancy, where Madam Mama was present. Patient presented with amenorrhea and fatigue initially. Patient became visibly annoyed when the first test suggested as a pregnancy test. Patient, and mother, insisted that she never had sexual intercourse, angrily, if I may add, even when the test results turned back as positive. No, you quack. I'm telling you she never had no sex. Internal medicine ward outside of NYC. 55 years/old lady was mute in the ed, noted poor historian, but severely constipated, severe abdominal pain, needed rectal disimpaction and more than just an acute workup, so gets admitted reluctantly to surgery. Next morning on round she is talking a mile a minute, full of detail about her diet and symptoms and family, etc. Afternoon, back to mute, and back to abdominal pain and constipation. 2 more days, same pattern. Team is stumped. She is blown away that we can't figure out what is wrong with her, and we feel the same way. Labs, imaging, consult teams, all coming up empty. Strict ins and outs, strict dietary restrictions, everything we can think of. Janitor comes in by chance and is pissed he has to change the paper towels so many goddamn times in this one room. Seems like the whole floor is stealing them from her. Sure enough, PT has been consuming about 2,500 paper towels Q 24 hours. Psych team comes for the obligatory consult, and of course she is mute. How do we get her to talk? 1 paper towel at a time. I think some poor intern got a paper out of that case. Hope she is doing well somewhere. Not a nurse, but my mom works with nurses who have crazy stories. Here's 2 of them, both from ER nurses. A man came into the ER with a birthday candle in his penis. He had stuck it in there to surprise his girlfriend on her birthday, but when he lit it the melted candle wax stuck to him. This is probably the weirdest one I've ever heard. An old woman came into the ER with a high fever, abdominal pain, dizziness, etc. She's showing signs of toxic shock syndrome, like when you leave a tampon in too long, so the doctor decides to check the woman to make sure nothing got stuck up there. Sure enough, she looks up there and half craps her pants when she sees 2 beady little eyes staring back at her. The doctor begins to pull it out, to which the old woman responds, "Put it back." Turns out the old woman, well past menopause, had gone to a bad witch doctor to help her get pregnant. Her recommendation, put a, now dead, turtle up there for a few days and she'd regain the ability to get pregnant. My cousin told me about a patient who complained about her nipple falling off all the time. She said she tried to glue it back on or use skincare creams to have it stick to her breast. Turns out she had, not sure what stage anymore, Probably pretty bad, breast cancer. From what I remember, the tumor got so big that the breast skin was stretched quite a bit. Somehow that plus friction led to an open, not healing and oozing wound which extended to her nipple. Well, nobody there understood how she didn't go to a doctor or a hospital earlier. Keep in mind this happened in Germany. She had a job, health insurance and everything. Ooh, I've got one. I had my nose straightened and septum shaved after I broke it like a dumb. I woke up after anesthesia feeling like the effing man. After about a minute of being awake, I tore out my stood up, and started walking out of my room, because I was going to walk home, about 3 miles, and finish that one mission in Heroes of Might and Magic 3. I walked past a nurse and she said, "You're bleeding." Ha ha, no, I feel amazing, I respond. I keep walking until I get to the elevator and I see my reflection in the metal. My face is bandaged up with blue/black bruising leaking out from under the white fabric, my eyes are bloodshot, and I generally look like crap. No matter. I wake up some time later, back in my bed with the fourth inserted in my other arm and I am strapped to the bed. Turns out, I was on a morphine drip, that's why I felt like Superman. My parents start yelling, "I am like what you flimmin' walkin' butt." Turns out, I gave myself a concussion when I collapsed while waiting for the elevator. On the bright side, that is how I found out painkillers were amazing and that they would help me survive a year of intense manual labor when I ran away from home. On the downside, I was addicted to painkillers. I work in the lab and the pathology department gets the foreign body items removed from a patient's body after surgery. Recent one was a chorizo sausage. Glad I wasn't there that day. I admitted a guy for pneumonia, which was odd because he was young and strapping, no other medical issues, X-ray didn't look quite right. The pieces just didn't add up and so I started questioning him more closely. Me, do you use any drugs? Patient, drugs? That's disgusting. I'm no druggie. I've never touched drugs in my life. I move on to other questions and suddenly. Patient, look, doc, I just want you to know I may have used cocaine once or twice years and years ago. I just snorted it though. That wouldn't cause this, right? Me, how long ago? Patient, like 10 years, maybe longer. Me, it shouldn't be affecting you after this long. Patient, more like 5. Me, years? Patient, like 5 months ago. This goes on forever, until he admits he just got off a massive crack binge the day before, where he spent the past 3 days in a hotel with some loose women smoking crack nonstop. He finishes with, "But I don't want you to think I'm one of those dirty druggies. No, I think you're the idiot who lied and was getting treated for pneumonia instead of getting the proper treatment for cracked lung, which is what he had. Here's a tip, I genuinely don't care. I'm not your mama, your spouse, or your priest. Don't waste my time and endanger your health spewing crap. Whatever horrible twisted thing you think is too shameful to talk about, I promise you, I've seen worse."